Hey, so great morning, great day to everybody. This is Victor the Man. Today, in our amazing podcast, we're going to be featuring not only a competitive athlete, but an innovator and engineer. His name is David Johnson. He's the CEO and founder of Rapid Reboot. And hey, out there in Utah, and I love Utah. I love snow skiing out in Utah, and I love going down with my son to Moab, where we're doing, Hummer stuff and whitewater rafting and hiking and stuff like that. Just love Utah and the people out there in Utah. So, David, say a big hello and introduce yourself a little. Tell us a little bit more about your background, how you initially got into saying, hey, going from Iron Man to innovator, David, you founded Rapid Reboot while you were training for these multiple Ironman races. So, what specific recovery challenges did you face that existing solutions couldn't address, prompting you to develop your own system known as Rapid Reboot now?
Well, I appreciate you having me on the podcast. You mentioned Moab. I'm from actually down by that part of Utah and worked in college as a whitewater guide. So it's like it brings a smile to my face. Lots of great memories there. Um, but yeah, I was Ironman race. Triathlon was a hobby of mine. I was doing a lot of Ironman races. They had announced a program called the Legacy Program, where if you do 12 Ironmans, you're able to go to Kona. And I'm not naturally fast enough to qualify otherwise. So it's like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a bunch of these races. And when you're doing 2 or 3 Ironman races a year and training, the training loads, it just takes a toll on your body. Like it beats you
Oh,
up something fierce. And um, recovery was a key part of like trying to be able to get all of the training in that you need to get in to get to the point where you can actually complete one of those races. Um, so anyway, I had a friend that bought a compression boot system, and he's like, "You got to get one of these. These are amazing. These are awesome." And I tried it, and I was blown away. I was like, "This is actually really, really great. This helps." But my background's, I've started multiple businesses. I'm a manufacturing engineer by trade and have an MBA and I built stuff and I immediately saw ways that it could be made better. I was like, oh, I love this, but I wish that it had higher compression. I wish it was more adjustable. I wish it was just better built. And so, you know, having started multiple businesses, it's like, you know what, I'm going to make something better. I'm going to make a better compression system than what's currently on the market, and that's what started Rapid Reboot.
wow, what an incredible start right there. And I got to share with you, I love that innovator in you and that inventor in you and that problem solver in you because like yourself, I've used other options out there as well too, including the Godzilla, the king of the hill for so many years. And I just said, you know what? When I saw this and we met originally at CryoCon, EK, my good friend and I, Edward Keith Navon, we were down there just trolling and see you guys. And I'm like, huh. And Andy Richter's another good friend as well too. Started talking to you guys at breakfast. He said, "You gotta come see these guys and talk to them." And man, I'm so grateful and feel so blessed for the opportunity that we got to meet, connect. And you said something really critically important that was, you wanted to come up with something to improve upon it. Well, as you can see right now, I don't know that anybody, podcast or anybody else in their whole career has actually worn the product while they're doing the podcast with the CEO. But that's amazing that when I demoed it and tried it for the first time, that I literally couldn't believe how much of a massive progress and step up that you did, because yeah, there's like different types of cars. Yeah, you can get an entry level car that gets you from A to B, but then there's the top line car that has all the innovation technology, the feel, everything about the experience makes it worth the extra investment. And not that this is a seriously much more higher investment, just actually it's a little bit more, not much more, but the actual experience and just everything about the touch and feel of what you created is just amazing to me. So thank you so much for that, sharing that, David. So David, let's step forward now and look at the engineering of elite recovery, because that's what I think you've actually done is you've engineered this elite recovery modality and technology product. So Rapid Reboot's regen system, boasts of these features like 20% compression levels and app capability. And I will admit that was something that was mind blowing to me, was just your whole app and all the features on that. So how do these innovations translate to tangible benefits for athletes seeking peak performance? That's the key, peak performance.
Well, we work backwards. We work with like solving a need. So, having done a lot of training for Ironman races and whatnot, I was familiar with what the needs were. Right. We also work directly with athletes, athletic trainers, get their feedback, and see what needs are out there. One of the benefits by being a younger company is we were able to see what was on the market and what was done well, and then also see areas that they missed the boat, that that was something lacking. Um, One of the key things was higher pressures. When you squeeze harder and you move through faster because you use bigger motors, bigger valves, higher performance system, you're able to move more blood flow. And that's the key to recovery is
Mm.
your circulatory system. Blood brings nutrients to your cells, to your muscles to help them recover, and it removes the waste products, metabolic waste, lactic acid from your muscles, and that's how you recover. We speed that up by increasing circulation. And our system, is designed to be a higher performance system. It's more adjustable. It squeezes harder, it moves through faster, it moves more blood flow, and you get better recovery. But basically, we tied that all right back to the needs of the athlete and the people that take care of the athletes.
Well, and what a great answer too, as well, because that's one thing again you keep mentioning that I've experienced, and the people that I'm, communicating with that have this and have the other options out there, because I have other options as well too, and I always put them in kind of a category of good, better, best, entry level, competitive level, and then the elite level, like you mentioned, and then there's qualifiers for that, obviously. And again, I'm not trying to be the expert know-it-all in specifically in compression, but based on the feedback I've received from all the people that I communicate with, including some very high level competitive athletes, they absolutely believe that what you've designed and what you've innovated and created is at the elite level, and that there's such a significant noticeable improvement on what the benefits that they've received from it is, to be able to help them be better at what they're doing, specifically what you mentioned a minute ago about the blood flow. Golly, for them it's absolutely super critical important to their job and their career as competitive athletes. But I also feel that that could carry over to some moms and dads that work on their feet all day as long as well too, and in other people that may have health issues or concerns. I know I'm using it right now with my dad with a very serious medical issue, and it's helping him tremendously have progress and improvement. And we'll keep you posted on that. We're doing a little diary, video diary on that, so we'll keep you updated on that as well. So now you just said a second ago. So as we move forward into the science behind the squeeze, I love that squeeze, man. I'm getting squeezed right now. Let me tell you that. And I'm enjoying it though. I'm enjoying it. So the compression therapy is central to your products. Can you delve a little bit more into how the modality enhances circulation and lymphatic function, and why it's crucial for athletic recovery? I think you just mentioned it some in your previous answer, but I'm just going to kind of focus a little bit more on the science behind the squeeze now and kind of dive into that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, sports, the way training works, it actually makes your body a little weaker, right? Lift weights weakens you, sends a message to your body to heal up and just toughen up. And so you get a little weaker and then you get stronger. That strength, your gains are gained during the recovery process, by eating right, getting enough sleep, making sure you take care of your body. Um, So basically, you work out, you get stronger. You work out, recover, get stronger. And that's how you build up, like endurance. That's how you build up strength. We're just helping that process with the circulation. Circulation's like what causes your body is how your body heals. It's how the products are removed. It's how nutrients, oxygen, protein are delivered to your muscles to repair themselves after you've torn them down. And the way it works is you'll squeeze on your foot and then your calf, your knee, and your upper leg, and it pushes all the lactic acid out of your leg. And when it lets go, fresh blood flow comes in. Um, our system's a higher performance system than what's out there on the market. So squeeze harder, it moves through faster, moves more blood flow. It's more adjustable. It's the only system on the market that you can adjust pressures by individual chambers. Um, that's a big deal to, athletes that are recovering from injury. So you had injury on your knee and it was tender, but you wanted to push blood
Oh,
flow through there, but didn't want to squeeze on it. You can do that with our system. Other systems, you can't do that. So the we're really targeted at the top end of the market. The athletes that really put a lot of time and effort and expense into being at the very top of their game. And so we want to maximize the benefits of all that hard work they put into their workouts by giving them the best recovery that possible and in the best way possible.
well, yeah, and it's interesting because you used the term in that answer just then that I look at it as draining the battery. When you're training or competing, you got energy, you're charged up, recovered, ready to go. But by the time you're done competing or training for competition stuff, you're basically draining that battery to a certain level. And the one thing I have definitely experienced and heard others that are currently using the Rapid Reboot system is that it definitely helped them much more than the other options right now. And that's the key, is everybody's looking for a competitive advantage. Even if it's 1% or it's 30% or if it's 50%, that competitive advantage. And the one thing I've heard from each one of those people, feedback was it definitely helped them recharge their battery a lot better than the other options that are on the market right now. So nothing again negative or dig against any other companies or other you know options on the market. It's just when people are researching in science and they're looking and they're trying to say, really, when I've got choices, why am I choosing Rapid Reboot? And we're just trying to make sure they have some better updated answers and some clarity and certainty. That's the one thing I got after demoing, was I absolutely had the clarity and certainty, and I can now speak from my own experience the specifics about what your products do and the modalities specifically towards recovery. And then another new thing that we mentioned earlier that I'm going to be testing later today that's never been done. I have researched on all the social media, so I can't wait to share that. And we'll see, good, bad, or indifference, what the result is. So stay tuned, stay posted. So now, as we get into the differentiating in a competitive market, right? Really trying to differentiate in this competitive market, because this is a super competitive market. It's going to get more competitive, I feel. But with several recovery systems available in the compression field, what really sets Rapid Reboot apart in terms of technology, user experience, and results?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. Um, Different companies have, different strengths, right? And different goals.
Yes, sir.
So we have some competitors that focus more on the, like salon sort of stuff, and their product offerings are more geared towards that. We have some that are more focused on the mass market. Our main competitor, the big, 100-pound gorilla in the market, started out as a sports performance company. They started out focusing strictly with elite athletes, and they were acquired by another company, and their focus changed to uh, more for the common person. It's a much bigger market, and their needs for growth, dictate that they make a system that's geared towards the common man. Um, what our focus has been is like we want to be the very best at what we can be. And that is to take the very top of the market and design a system and products that are geared for elite athletes. And that's been our focus. And that's why, we choose the motor we choose, the valves we choose. It's why with our system, we include all the adjustability and functionality that other systems don't have, is because at the elite level, people are wanting to have that. They want to have the very best system. They put a lot of time and effort into being their very best, and they want to have a system that matches that effort, right? So yeah, it's a matter of what you focus on. So there's car manufacturers that focus on gas mileage. You make a Prius, right? Others are focused on hauling capacity, and you have a truck. A truck is great for hauling, but it sucks at gas mileage, right? And vice versa.
Yeah.
So our focus is just different than our competitors. There's a place for everyone. But our
Yes,
focus
sir.
is at the very top end of the market and the lead athletes and teams and programs that deserve the very best and are willing to, you know, to purchase the very best. So,
Well, and it's interesting because you kept emphasizing on the elite athlete. I'm not an elite athlete, but I'm super competitive.
mhm.
And at my age, which I won't reveal on, on publicly here, but I can share this with you. To me, having used the other options that are out there, and for me, yes, recharging my battery, being able to consistently show up in the training center and get a great training session in or out on the turf field. And I climb the mountains, I scuba dive, I do all kinds of stuff. Being able to still do that, this has allowed me to maintain that level of lifestyle, which is very active, adventurous, and go getter. So to me, I don't consider myself an elite athlete like you niche this technology and this modality and product to be, but I can share with you, at least for me, it's helped me significantly get much better results. And yes, the user interface and experience, there's no competition. I mean, there isn't competition in that. You absolutely blew. I mean, you're using what, a cell phone screen on this? I mean,
Yeah,
that's not like a dot matrix little thingamajiggy there. It's super high
we
level.
yeah
But
we
my
we
my dad, who is 83, go ahead.
we essentially built a cell phone to control valves and motors and control a pump. Um, Google invited us to World Mobile Conference and Google I/O to go show off this technology because we're using some of the, Flutter is our, the platform that we use for the app, and we were the first ones to put it on a device, for embedded Linux. So yeah, it's unique. It's cool. It gives us a lot more flexibility. It gives us the ability to build something that's not out there. And just because we focused on making the very best system and focused on people that customers that really care about having the best doesn't mean it can't benefit your common person as well. It's not necessarily for everyone, but
Right.
everyone can benefit from it. And it's definitely, it's a step above whatever else is out on the market. We were, being a younger company, we're able to see what zippers were used in the boots. And we're like, you know what, we're going to make a better, stronger boot. We're going to use big metal zippers and like a robust pull tab. Instead of plastic like hanging hooks on it, we're going to put metal D-ring hooks on it. We'll make the inside of it smooth so it's easy to clean. Have it unzip all the way so that like you can easily clean it, but then put in expansion segments so you can fit anybody. One of the things that we thought was a huge miss on the market is most systems, just have a couple sizes. And, you're paying quite a bit for compression boots. And you wouldn't buy a
Oh
pair
yeah.
of jeans that, didn't fit you quite right. why would you pay so much, that amount of money for compression boots that didn't fit? So we offer 5 sizes, and then each of those sizes has multiple zipper settings. Like you can zip it here or zip it here, or even put an expander in it. We've never had anyone that we can't fit, from your smallest gymnasts and little kids all the way to power lifters and NFL linemen. We fit people exactly how it should fit.
Well, it's interesting, because my dad, who's 83 years old, has Guillain-Barré syndrome, and we were using another technology, compression technology on him, and we switched to the Rapid Reboot, and it's everything you said. Now, this is an 83, so he's not an elite athlete,
Hmm.
but I'm just sharing this because we want to inform people so they make decisions that are educated and helpful to the people that they're trying to love and take care of. So, like with my dad, you just said a minute ago, there'd be too much pressure on one knee or one side. At certain points, it was very painful, uncomfortable. Being able to adjust it in each compartment was critical to him being able to use it and then progress. So, there's
Hmm.
where just such the flexibility and adjustability that you have that again, nobody else does. No, this is the only one that does that. Made it really helpful in the healing process for my dad, and I'm so grateful and I feel so blessed for that as well too. And again, the other stuff, wonderful. So David, athlete centric design philosophy. That's really interesting because I think everybody for the most part is at some level an athlete, but a competitive athlete, that's a super different human being altogether, as I've learned. So, how has the feedback from athletes influenced the design and functionality of Rapid Reboot products over the years, especially recovery for the athletes?
It's been huge. Having those direct connections with athletic trainers and athletes themselves and individuals, you're able to get their feedback on what they wish there was out there. Uh, you know, um, we had with an early model, we had a plug that was a different design that plugs in, and it was not necessarily the best design out there. It had moving parts and plastic parts that could break. And we
Mm.
found out from athletes and trainers that that was an issue, and redesigned it. We're like, we're going to design the very best plug ever made that will never break. And so we removed all moving parts. We made it a magnetic connection. Um, it's got no moving parts in it. It's made out of polycarbonate, which is what bulletproof glass is made out of. We've never had one of those break.
Wow.
And that puts us ahead of where we were, but it also puts us ahead of like our competition. We hear that from people all the time. It's like, oh, well, the mechanism that you push in, has moving parts that break. And so it's like that feedback helps us improve our products. It helps us be able to deliver a better product to our customers, but it just makes it better every day. So that direct communication with our customers is huge for us. So
That's amazing, and there's other things as well too, just like the user face in the app, uh, the deflation. Oh my goodness, the fact that it actually can deflate was mind-boggling to me as well too. I would absolutely say that when y'all came up with this inflation, just these hoses that they're flat. I mean, that was another thing. They're so smooth, just the texture, the feel of everything. There was just so much more that y'all put into this from an attention to detail perspective. So that's why I was kind of interested. I'm like, man, y'all had to get some, feedback from all these athletes of what are the things, and the coaches too,
yep.
of what are the challenges they face with the other options that were out there versus coming up with something that would basically overcome all those challenges and objections and then come up with something that would absolutely be a great solution for them. Because the one thing is, we know if something's breaking constantly, it's a nightmare and it's not dependable and it's difficult to manage a team. And especially when you got them scheduled athletes coming in for certain times because they got classes and other things, or they've got interviews or whatever, that kind of feedback and the fact y'all actually listened and actually applied it and actually brought to life, that to me was even more incredible. So, so much, credit to you guys. So now let's move on to, you know, not only do you have this, but you've expanded the recovery toolkit a bit. So beyond the compression boots, Rapid Reboot, you offer products like the Revamp,
Mhm.
which is kind of that hot cold therapy sleeves. So share with us, how do these additions complement your core offerings and address diverse recovery needs?
So got one right here. It's a gel sleeve that you just store in your freezer, and then you slide it on after you work out, and it basically replaces an ice pack. But you're not having to take a plastic bag and trying to hold that on while you wrap it up. I mean, if you're trying to put one on your shoulder, that's a two-person job. You can't do that on your own. But we have a shoulder sleeve as well, huge for quarterbacks, baseball players, gymnasts, anybody, swimmers, anybody who uses their upper body and arms. That's been huge. But you can put these on your ankle, your knee, your legs, and use them by themselves, or you can put them underneath the compression boots. When you put them under the compression boots, you basically have cold therapy and compression at the same time. So it replaces like a game ready system, but it's mobile. It
Right.
has full coverage of the entire limb. It's adjustable by the pressure. It goes up higher pressures. You're not sloshing ice water around. You don't have to plug it into the wall. It's not,
Oh,
you're not getting mold and all the issues that they have with those types of systems. But yeah, it's awesome. It's a very great complementary sort of product because you can use it by itself, or you can use it with the compression boots, and it's great. You can also put these in the microwave. You put them in the microwave a little bit at a time, get them warm, and you can have heat therapy or contrast therapy, cold, hot, by just getting a couple of them and rotating
yes,
them
sir.
back and forth. Um, but yeah, it's been
That's
a
incredible.
super popular sort of product and a nice complement to our compression boots.
Well, super proud of you for that, because you're right. That definitely kicks it up another notch.
Oh
Bam.
yeah.
So now let's look at navigating growth and innovation, because clearly you've made that kind of a big part of your whole company's brand. So since Rapid Reboot's inception in 2015, what has been kind of the pivotal moments that shaped the company's trajectory, and how have you maintained a culture of innovation?
Well, some of the key points was just launching the company, and then immediately wanting to make a better system than our system that we started with, and coming out with the regen system. That was a huge thing for the company. Uh, Finally had something that was not just on par or close to what was out there, but like heads and shoulders better in every way. Um, a unique enough system that you can land, the very best programs in the country, whether it be professional teams or collegiate or individual athletes, something that's geared towards them, something that's geared towards your individuals that need, like have health conditions that require like that adjustability and all the unique things that it can do. Um, COVID was another sort of challenge and setback, but it was also something that helped us in some ways. We experienced that chip shortage that everyone else did as well, where you'd have cars, auto manufacturers had lots and lots of cars that they couldn't finish manufacturing because they couldn't get the chips to make the entertainment consoles for them. This has got a lot of electronics
Yes,
in
sir.
it, and we had the same sorts of challenges. What we did is we redesigned our circuitry and made it even better. And we brought our manufacturing of our electronics and assembly all in-house. And so it gave us more control and gives us better quality, and it ends up being a better product overall and a better supply chain overall. So it was a challenge and it was painful, and it wasn't a fun time, but we came out of that even stronger because now we control our manufacturing of the key components.
Man, I'm super proud of you. That, like you said, the painful lessons. That's one of the things, when I'm spending time with EK and other people, Casey Conrad, some of the people I know out there, it's those painful lessons where the growth is really the greatest,
Yep.
and those opportunities come, and you step up and you level up and come up with more innovative ideas that just improve upon it. And even more proud that you're bringing a lot of your manufacturing back to the U.S. so that's kind of more American made as much as we possibly can today as possible. So uh, let's talk about now educating the market, because that's one thing. I can't tell you how many people that I meet never even heard of Rapid Reboot.
Mhm.
So definitely got to start educating the market a little bit better, because recovery is sometimes an overlooked aspect of training. In fact, I'll talk to a lot of fitness club owners, gym owners, not necessarily coaches and athletes, but there's a lot of very competitive athletes that train in a lot of the fitness clubs and gyms all over the United States and the world. And they just think, we're going to give that's somebody else can. We just put a ton of equipment in and we're just hardcore.
Mhm.
Yeah, they don't even understand that, training plus recovery equals the greatest level of success. And they're just ignoring this completely, or rejecting it, or casting it aside, or minimizing it. They'll just stick something in there. They're not really deep diving into this the same way that they would, let's say, a treadmill or a lifting platform or a belt squat or something, or a glute machine, heaven forbid, nowadays. So when you understand that, how does Rapid Reboot educate athletes and coaches about the importance of recovery, and what strategies have proven effective for y'all?
Well, it's something that's people are starting to figure out. There's always an incentive to have an advantage, something that's will help your give you a performance advantage, right? Because you're putting in all this time and effort lifting or running, and you want to get all of the benefits you can out of that. If your next lifting session's on dead legs, and you're just worn out and beat up, you're not going to get as quality of a workout, and you're also not recovering fully. That's something I experienced when I was training for those Ironman races. Sometimes, like the work, the training load would just be too much. So you tear yourself down, you try to recover, but you
Yes,
don't get
sir.
all the way recovered, and you tear yourself down. Next thing you know, you're going backwards. Like you're not running as fast or smart. You're not able to put in the workouts that you would. Um, Recovery's been a hot topic because it's an area that people have caught on to the science behind it, that there is an advantage there, that for athletes that take it serious, and that comes down to sleeping enough, sleeping right, eating right, taking care of your body, and not just being hardcore and just lifting and then you know not taking care of your body afterwards. Uh, but that's just progress, like a long time ago. This is a long, long time ago. People used to believe that weightlifting was bad for sports, that it would make you muscle bound and
Oh yeah.
slow, right? Because you'd just be all muscle bound. And, there were programs like Nebraska was one of the programs that pioneered that. They started lifting, had their football team lifting, and they had a dominant program. A lot of that was based on that, the lifting and lifting weights that other programs were slower to adopt. Now you can't find a program that doesn't lift weights. And that's all the way down through high schools and through universities, pro teams. It's weight training is a thing. Recovery's following a similar sort of path of like, all right, what's the
Yes, sir.
next key advantage? What's the next thing that you can get? It's like get all the benefit you can out of all that work you put into it. And so recovery is a huge thing. Your body's natural process for recovery is, it's based off your circulation. Like that's circulatory systems, a lot of like how that takes place. And so our products are geared towards that, and helping your body recover in the natural way that it heals itself.
And thank you for sharing that, David. So now, as we start looking ahead at the future, right? We're looking ahead at the future of recovery. What trends do you foresee in athletic recovery, kind of y'all's market right now, and how is Rapid Reboot positioning itself to lead in the evolving landscape there?
I think people are going to take it more and more serious because there are advantages to, just like there was advantages to adding weight training, to sports. There are advantages to taking your recovery serious. So you see like dedicated nutrition programs. You see dedicated, um, programs dedicated towards how you sleep and getting enough sleep, and compression boots, and cold plunges, and cryo, and all of these sorts of things. They work in tandem. Like if you want to make sure that you get the best recovery possible, and that's what gives you the most benefit from all that hard work and effort you put into training. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a hotter topic going forward, and more science based than ever, and athletes are going to continue to break records that were never thought of being able to break. I mean, there was a time that 4 minute mile was never going to ever be broken, and once it was broken, there's been lots of people that have broken it since. Part of that is just the
Yes,
better
sir.
training and recovery, and more science based, and the effort that goes into athletics now.
So, what advice for aspiring entrepreneurs like yourself, drawing from your journey? Now, it's been an amazing journey, by the way. So, what insights or lessons would you share with entrepreneurs aiming to innovate within the health and fitness, the wellness recovery industry?
First advice would be to don't be afraid to just do it. You know, just go out there and do it. Um, Pick something that design it in a way that you can minimize risk, right? So my first business, it started with my wife. We started that with $200. Our monthly expenses, it was an online business. We sold software, and web hosting was like $6 a month. Had it gone under, we'd have eaten $200 and $6 a month. It wasn't going to be devastating. It
That's
had a
right.
lot of upside and a lot of potential, and it did really well. We used that business to fund our next business. That one started for about $1,000, and it turned into a really nice business. Did really well, and that was the business that funded Rapid Reboot. So we're I've been a bootstrapper. My wife and I, bootstrapped all of our companies from one to next to next, and we've tried to design them in a way that maximizes benefit but limits risk and downside. But being able to go do something awesome, unique, and designing something that makes people's lives better. If you design a product that you sell as product or service that people really feel like, hey, this does make my life better. This is great. Then it's easy to sell. It's easy to acquire customers because they're your best salespeople. They tell their friends about it, and so that's been kind of our model, is to focus on, designing something that our customers will love, and just not being afraid to just jump in and do it.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Mr. David Johnson, CEO of Rapid Reboot out of Utah, compression technology, recovery. I mean, it's just been amazing that, you came up with something that everybody else. So here's what I noticed, David, is while I see other options that are out there, including, Godzilla, who's been the king for so many years now, people just started copying that. But nobody innovated and stepped or leveled up to come up with something that was such a level that you did. And that's super rare that I see that. Most people just want to cheat, cut corners, copy something, put a different name or sticker on it, and then sell it just to make a buck. They're not really interested in whether somebody gets great results, the quality of it. They're not out there listening or talking to their competitive athletes, their clients, or their members and stuff like that. The fact that you and your company did that, and you got an amazing guy on your team too, Rick, up there in Knoxville, Tennessee, and some of the stories that he shares on a daily basis with me and the wins. Every time he goes into, it seems like every time y'all go into a facility and you compete, it's like getting on the mat or getting on the turf, the court, wherever it is. Every time y'all compete, it's like the winner,
Yeah, but
come out with your hand raised as the new champion. And that's going toe to toe every single day. So, can you share a little bit about some of the stories that Ricky shares with you, whether it's on a daily basis and just, as he's going in there competing with this thing every day, the fact that people, they share exactly what you said earlier, just the challenges, the problems they have. But when they get to experience this, it's like, done. We will take it. We want it. So it's not like you're offering cheap deals and you're out there bashing anybody. You're really just saying, give us an opportunity to compete, to prove ourselves. And once you do that, at least from what I've heard, the majority of the time, over 90%, I'm going to say over 90%, people chose your amazing rapid reboot technology and products specifically again, to give them a competitive advantage over the competitors who are using the other stuff, knowing that, hey, when they're going to get on the turf or the field or the court or whatever it is, they want to make sure their athletes have a better opportunity to be successful and safe and not injured or hurt. So if you'd share just a little bit of the kind of some of the conversations, the kind of the behind the scenes conversations that y'all have, with some of the successes, love to hear some of a couple good stories. How about
yeah,
that?
yeah. So when when you copy your competitor, right? By definition, you're behind because you're coming after them,
Mm,
right? And so that's not been our strategy. Our strategy's been to look at see how we can be ahead of everybody. What's missing in the market, what features would make our product better. And because of that, we have a product that's unique. We have a product that is heads and shoulders better than any other system on the market. I'm biased, obviously, and but I wouldn't say that if that wasn't the feedback that I did got from all of these sort of places on the wall behind me. Um, that is one of my favorite things is, going out with the sales team and visiting prospective clients and clients, and being able to be like, we built this for you. We made this for you. Um, and you start showing them like what features it has. I mean, this one right here for Ohio State, the deflate function was the what got us that account. We I was showing the athletic trainer there the system. He's like, it's got deflate. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I've been traveling with a shop vac to suck the air out of the boots we currently use, and I wanted deflate forever. And I'm like, well, yeah, we've got deflate in our system. So like, instead of him having to squeeze all the air out of the boots, when the team gets done using them, they just hit deflate and the motor sucks all the air out of them. They roll up nice and tight because of it. And it's just a little feature, one of many, but it's something that matters to them. And it's just awesome. It's great being able to make those friendships with people that use your product and to see that reaction, when they're like, "Hey, this really is something that you've thought it through. You've added these things that we need." Um, it's a fun sort of thing. I love going out with Rick and meeting with places. Um, like you said, it's about every time. It's definitely around 80% of the time we show up and we leave them with a system to try out. And next thing you know, they're buying because they're just like, hey, this addresses needs that we've had for a long time. And we want to be able to, make our job easier, be able to take care of our athletes. They put so much time and money into athletes, even at the university level now with NIL and, it's basically pro sports in a sense. it's such a competitive sort of thing that keeping their athletes healthy, keeping them at the top of their game, keeping them happy, it's a huge, huge deal. There's entire organizations that are geared towards that because what it does is it leads to wins. And when you have a team that wins, you fill your stadium and fans are happy and coaches are happy and it's easier to recruit. So it all feeds into it. You know, it's like recovery is a piece of that puzzle of trying to build a winning program, you know, and it's a component that we bring something to the table that's unique. And that is awesome to be able to work with the top programs in the country and have them recognize what it is and love it. You know, it's made a ton of friendships all across the country. It was just meeting with athletic trainers and coaches and players. It's just tons of fun.
So here's something I'm going to go back and we're going to touch on
Sure.
just for a second here. Now, I know you designed this originally for competitive athletes and totally agree with that and support that. But and we talked a little bit about the future as well too. So here's two things that I'm just anxious to get your feedback on that I believe from my experience with this and others. So for me, the future is all about personalization.
Mhm.
So we're going to talk about personalization here in just a second because I want to get specifically into and have you kind of demonstrate and show how you personalize the programs and how the programming in here can be personalized. Because I don't think you talked about that or mentioned that hardly at all or mentioned it where it's a solid like number one very important point because to me the future is all about personalization and I know right now for a fact nobody's done a phenomenal job or even a fantastic job or even a mediocre job on personalization. So once you touch on that, and then two is you said, you know, mostly for that competitive athlete. Well, again, to me, I think everybody that really is looking for compression technology for great results, that personalization's going to be more important to me than just having it and having it blow up chambers. That personalization to me makes it more open to everybody, not just the competitive athlete. So there's where I believe that what you did in the personalization and the programming capabilities and potential is better for the masses, not just the competitive athletes. So go ahead. Would you share with us and kind of take now as a scuba diver, an open water advanced scuba diver, deep diver? Can you dive into that a little bit more and talk to us and show us about the programming and the personalization that you can do with this that doesn't exist anywhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, these just because our focus was on the lead athlete doesn't mean that other people can't benefit from it. Especially the personalization, as you mentioned, right? People with health issues, people that have circulatory issues, you know, lymphedema and other issues. Being able to adjust pressures by zone and be able to have like you know their healthcare providers, the doctors, being able to have that type of control and being able to adjust their treatments is huge. It's huge, and it is tons of fun hearing from someone that has had a PR at their Ironman race or you know a marathon. It's even better, you know, when we hear from someone that had mobility issues or was in pain and you know, you hear from a customer like that, it's like, you know what, this makes a huge difference in my day-to-day life. Awesome. That's so awesome. It's so much fun to hear from people like that. It just makes my day. Um, and so those sort of features are great. You know, like you mentioned, it has like an app, runs the same app on the pump as the cell phone and everything
Yeah,
that
perfect.
it
Yeah, show us more about that. Take us on a deep dive. Show us the programming and personalization that people can do on
yeah,
that.
so everything on here is both the display as well as an adjustment. So you see the pressures are here, and this is where you would tap to adjust the pressures. You can adjust them by zone, and you drag it up or down, right? And each zone can be a different pressure, all the way down to zero, which is basically off. 100 is where our competitors go. We go to 200. Um, we're able to do that because we cycle through a lot faster, and so it squeezes harder and moves through. But if like if they use a smaller motor, and you'd have numbness in your limbs if they tried to go to the higher pressures that we do. Um,
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, it's got different attachments. You can, hips, boots, arms. Um, you basically set different modes. Got different modes that do different things. So like mode A is like squeeze, release, squeeze, release, squeeze, release. B is like squeeze, 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 and then releases all of them. And C and D are kind of a combination of that. Different modes have different sort of focuses. Like mode A is great for like warming up before working out. It gets the blood flowing, it loosens up the muscles. B is great for recovery because it's more aggressive. It moves more blood flow, and it's a great mode for recovery. But basically, you can dial in everything on here. Hold times. You can adjust the hold times, how long it rests in between um, cycles. All of it's adjustable. And then once you've got it adjusted, just tap right here, the programs, and then just hit save. And that will save your program right there. And you can name it whatever you want. And then anytime you want to, like have your settings on it, you just tap one of those. Instantly sends all those settings over to your pump, and you have the settings for that you had saved before. What that gives you is it gives you the ability to have different settings for different situations, different athletes. If you're have like a training room with a whole bunch of different athletes, you can dial those in, and just on their app they can just hit go, and it basically has all the settings they need. And from a prescription standpoint, if like this is a class 2 medical device, right? We're applying it to sports
Okay.
medicine, but it was originally developed for treating, helping people heal after surgeries, preventing blood clots, circulatory issues. Um, but yeah, that ability to be able to dial in the settings, from a healthcare provider or an athletic trainer, and then be like, all right, here's the settings you need to use, and then basically just hit go. It's huge. It's huge. That customizability is not on any other system. There's no other system that has the ability to control pressures like we can, and to adjust everything on it, like every aspect of it, and to be able to save it on an app, and make it, do what it can do. It's yeah, it's fun when you show that to people and they're like, I've been wanting this. I've been wanting something that can do this. And that's why Rick has the success he does when, and our salespeople, they have the success they do when they meet with people. It's because there is a desire to have something better. And that's what the pump can do. It's just got infinite adjustability. You can fine tune it. You can save those settings. It's got higher performance. Then we pair it with the best compression sleeves on the market that actually fit, and it's an easy sort of thing. It's an easy sell. We're less well known because we're a younger company, and so there's a lot of work to do to get our name out there. But what we're finding is we're flipping teams and customers one right after another.
So you brought it, made me come up with a good question in my mind.
Hmm.
So you say it goes up to 200. What is the lowest that you can actually adjust this down? I was just trying to
Oh,
look at this just then. What's the lowest? Because you mentioned a minute ago, if somebody has an injury,
yeah,
or let's just say they had trained the previous day and now they're like, they've got DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness, or PMS, post exercise muscle soreness.
yeah.
They got a lot of soreness. And what's the lowest level this can actually go?
So you can take it all the way down to zero. You can turn off a chamber all the way down to zero.
So wait a second. So David, talk about personalization. I
Yeah,
can take it down to zero, so it doesn't have to start at 100.
right.
I can start it down at zero and bring it up to 100, and then all the way up to 200. You want to talk about amazing personalization? That to me is mind blowing because it makes so when I was sitting there using it with my dad, certain areas he was much more sensitive, and I noticed that I had it down at like 40, not even at 100 in some spots for his sensitivity level. And then on days where I had trained pretty intensely myself, 100 was too much,
Yep.
so I was able to adjust even lower. So to me, again, I know you say elite athlete, But I'm going back again. The entire population, this is a superior technology in compression because you can actually start from zero up to 100, all the way up to 100, and then from 100 and then progress because from recovery perspective, just like in training, you want to start with less and progress to greater. Progressive overload, right? Well, the same thing goes with with compression, and that's why I was always fascinated. I'm like, everybody's starting at 100. It's like, well, what about people where that's just too much for them? Because I've seen that actually happen in real life at multiple facilities where 100 was just too much. It was uncomfortable, and they did not enjoy the experience. So you've created the first one. Again, only with Rapid Reboot now, only can get it with Rapid Reboot. So that's why when we were starting this conversation, doing this podcast, and I know I sit here and deep dive and I looked at all the information, it was like athletes, elite athletes. But the more I kept using it and communicating and sharing it with my dad and others, it was like, no, this was even better for the whole world that are into compression or looking for compression for that blood flow. So there's where, again, I totally agree that it has so much that it can do for competitive and elite athletes. But I also believe from a personalization in the future, what you've designed and created for the masses now from a personalization perspective, starting point from zero up and progressing them gently and gradually to a level that they can so they can get to those higher levels, even up to 100 you know, is just phenomenal, man. So again, this has never been recorded or even shared in any type of social media in any way. So this is the first time people are actually hearing this or becoming aware of this. Congratulations,
Thanks.
David and Reboot, man. You guys just absolutely, you did this for athlete, knocked it out of the park because it's baseball season right now. Congratulations, man. Is there anything else you want to add or share, David? But man, these last few minutes here have been absolutely fantastic, and I'm so grateful to you for sharing that. So, last word, David, what you got?
Well, thanks. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I really appreciate it. It's always nice to be able to, you know, meet, to talk about our products and it's fun. It's a fun sort of thing to be able to get that out there in the world. Um, yeah, it makes my day that you recognize, like the features that it has, the ability to fine tune it and to adjust the settings to, individuals and their situations. And, it's like, yeah, it makes me feel great. So we put a lot of work into trying to design something that would be able to meet people's needs. So it makes my day. Yeah, it's a ton of fun and really appreciate everything having us on your podcast and all the kind words and it's been great.
Well, I hope that when people see this, you and Rapid Reboot, David, and your team and everybody in the future, this will become the world's leading technology and the new world champion in compression. That's what I hope and believe, especially with the personalization. It's just fantastic. And then all the unique things that you did by listening to people to actually and that last piece that you shared a second ago where you said, hey, copying somebody, you're already behind. That was brilliant. I've never even heard that, but I totally believe it and understand it. And obviously I've experienced it myself as well too. So again, nothing but gratitude and appreciation to you, David, to Rapid Reboot. And hey, wishing you guys super great success. And I know not long from now, very soon, you guys are going to be the world champion in compression because you've earned it and you deserve it. And now it's just a chance of people experiencing it and then proving it and seeing it for themselves or experiencing it themselves. So talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. So